And Austin, again, I apologize for not getting your texts earlier.
Oh, dude, it's all good.
I was a little hurt. I thought you were ignoring me. So
Oh no, I would never. Unless I'm like in the middle of a football game or something, I'm not
No,
ignoring you. I'm not on my phone.
I was kidding. I know you're crazy busy. I'd never take it personal when I don't hear back from you right away.
Yeah, I will always get back to you at some point. Sometimes it just might take me a little longer than normal. Like right now, I'm catching up on Instagrams that people sent me like May 25th.
And it's all reels. It's not like real messages. It's just people sharing like clips.
No, yeah, for sure. No, they're not real messages. It's just people sharing videos. But like, I haven't looked at any of them in many weeks. I just responded to Jesse's like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, really? Guess I'll have to open up the old gram.
I feel like I'm getting old because I find myself opening Facebook a lot more now than I open Instagram, which is the complete opposite of what I did like 5 years ago. But it's also like a lot of our content is on Facebook and stuff too. So, and if you're ADD like me, you need help remembering those birthdays. Facebook is the best. Oh, look, it's somebody's birthday today. Hey, happy birthday. Blah, 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 blah. It takes 2 seconds.
Welcome to the Circus Catch.
I'm always up for the challenge.
Are you kidding me? Guess who called that one?
I am dubbed the Houston player hater. I don't have time to believe
you got butthurt.
What is he thinking? Is he the greatest of all time?
It is like magic.
Is it just me or is it hot in here? No, it is very, very hot. It's not just me. Welcome to a spicy edition of the Circus Catch. It's about 107 degrees here in Central California today. I've got a couple of co-hosts with me today. Austin Parr in beautiful Montana, where he said it was 80 degrees. And look who's back, folks. Jesse Larson back on the Circus Catch after a few weeks off. Jesse, how's the weather in Wisconsin? And how
in
are
the
you doing?
In the flesh.
It is amazing here. Let's just put it that way. Upper 70s, low humidity, cool breeze. It's perfect, man. It sure as hell beats the hell out of the upper 90s in humidity and temperature in freaking Oklahoma. So can't complain too much. But it's good to be back, Jordan.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Triple digits got me real jealous of both of you right now.
No, I mean, I just had snow 2 weeks ago, so don't be too crazy.
Yeah.
That's true. The grass is always greener, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, folks. Well, we did hold off on talking about one subject until the return of Jesse, and that is college baseball and college softball. Now, I thought Jesse was going to be super excited to talk about these subjects, but I don't know. He seems like he's not really into it right now. Why could that possibly be?
Something about Oklahoma State, I guarantee it.
It's got to be, right? I mean, baseball team chokes in the regional, which, like I just mentioned to you before we started, Jordan, 7 of the 8 teams that are in Omaha right now are seeded. The only unseeded team, they came out of the Stillwater Regional, and it's the Florida Gators out of the SEC, which 4 SEC teams, 4 ACC teams. Southern charm, if you will. And then on the softball side, well, guess who just won another national freaking championship?
Dynasty.
Yeah, it's little brother once again.
7 of 11, and I know you hate talking about Oklahoma. I know you hate talking about that other school in the Sooner State. But we got to talk about them because at this point, Jesse, 7 of 11, possibly would have won 2020 as well if it wasn't canceled for COVID. Is Patty the GOAT?
Oh, she's definitely up there. I mean, recency bias tells you for sure. Absolutely. But, I mean, there are several other coaches that I could put in that realm of, the greatest coach in softball history. But Patty Gasso is definitely in that conversation and, is widely regarded as one of the top 3 coaches of all time. So, I'm not going to put that pedestal on her just yet. Maybe not ever, just because she's an OU head coach. But No, I'm kidding. Yeah, she's definitely up there, and I have to give credit where credit's due. It's just 4 straight national championships, first team to ever do it, and no one has ever seen a team quite like this. So, kudos to them, but I hate it.
I watched the moment that the pitcher for Florida, who hit a 2-run shot, the next inning tried to tag out the guy at first base, and like they got into a huge scuffle. I don't know if you saw that, but
Yeah.
it looked like David versus Goliath, to be honest. Like this batter was like a little tiny guy, running up the baseline, tried to like shove this big pitcher. And he's like, all right, dude, come on. Like, we're not having that. But it's crazy how still in college, you can still be a dominant pitcher and hitter, which is usually not the case. It's usually like pick one by the time you get to Division I college baseball. It's just impressive. But yeah, like you said, Florida.
To that point as well, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more where players are going to try to come up as both pitching and hitting threats, if they can, instead of specializing in one, because we see the emergence of it at the major league level. And typically that trickles down to college and high school once it happens. So we might be seeing that a lot more going forward.
What Shohei is doing is like something that I don't really think is
Sustainable?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't know. I don't see any players coming up to the majors anytime soon that can be like a Paul Skeens who can throw 100 miles an hour, but then also hit. And obviously Skeens doesn't hit. So, that's just, there's so much that has to go into both crafts, but prove me wrong. Somebody out there, go ahead.
Carson Bench for Oklahoma State was all Big 12 pitcher and hitter. So, it's
I'm just
out
at the pro level, because I mean we all know that college to the pros is a massive jump, because
It
it's
is,
like,
for sure.
college to single A to double A to triple A, then to the majors. Like it's a huge jump, but I think it's awesome. I mean, they should take advantage of it. Why not?
We also probably, or I shouldn't say probably, but we may never see somebody at Shohei Ohtani's talent level ever again. But that doesn't mean there won't be copycats. We saw it in basketball with Michael Jordan, and look how many people copied his game afterwards.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. What I'm saying is though, like by the time they get to like probably the professional level, who knows if they'll still be pitchers and hitters. They might get drafted as a pitcher, and the organization might say, hey, we want you to focus on pitching. We think your stuff is electric. You can have an incredible career. And then they're focused on pitching, and they're now no longer focused on hitting. We just haven't really seen somebody come in the draft that can do both, and organizations embrace that yet.
Yeah, that's fair, because that actually does happen a decent amount.
Yeah.
I remember Sean Doolittle coming up as a first baseman. The organization transitioned him to a pitcher, and he was 3-4-time All-Star, World Series champion with the Nationals in 19 as their closer. So I mean, yeah, absolutely, good point.
On Friday, we'll see North Carolina and Virginia and Tennessee, Florida State go at it. So they're going to be going, and the Jello shots at Rocco's are going to be slinging, and we're gonna have a good time this weekend.
I love that. That's great.
I know it really didn't matter, but I think the only important thing of the College World Series thus far, I don't know his name, but that Clemson center fielder's catch.
Canarella. Yeah.
Oh my, that is like one of the filthiest catches I've ever seen. I mean, that was insane. Got like a good jump off the ball, but didn't read it properly because he went to his right and then the ball kind of like traveled. Is off a right-handed bat, I believe. So obviously it was tailing towards right field, and he's just like, catches it. I mean, at the moment it saved their season. Obviously it didn't pan out as they got walked off later on in that game, but
yeah,
that is one of the most incredible catches I think you'll ever see at the college level for sure.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like the catch as much as everyone else. Is because he made a poor read on the baseball and had to adjust his trajectory to it, because he actually overran it at one point and had to turn the other direction and then jump and into the wall to catch it. Great catch, no doubt. But I think if he has a direct line to it initially, all he has to do is reach over his shoulder like that and catch it. But I guess I'm picking it, nitpicking. If you
You're nitpicking a very phenomenal catch. I will agree with you. The read was wrong for sure. If he just turned the opposite way off the jump of the bat, he probably would have it would have been a normal catch. But the fact that he had a bad read made it like one of the craziest catches I've ever seen.
Yeah, definitely save their season for the time being, at least. So, guys, I just want to take a quick moment to talk about what is being widely regarded as one of the greatest upsets in sports history, not just on a national level, but just in sports history. For those of you that don't know, cricket is pretty much dominated by India and Pakistan. And at the T20 World Cup, Team USA knocked off Pakistan. And that's pretty unheard of. That's pretty monumental, to say the least, because like I said, powerhouse Pakistan, and the US has never been very good at cricket. I mean, I don't even know if you guys have ever watched cricket before. So to say the least, it's not a popular sport here, but I just wanted to bring that up. Kudos to the U.S. men's national team. That is a massive, massive win. And they're going to have to go up against India if they win their next match. So maybe the run will come to an end. But for now, this win, this is excitement. This is huge for the country and for this national team. Just wanted to
Like the
throw that out.
miracle on grass.
Yeah.
That's
Basically.
cool.
I just don't understand how they can go for days and days and days and days and days. Like, these things sometimes take weeks to finish.
It's crazy.
So,
It's the marathon.
It's just too much for me, man. But I just wanted to shout out the U.S. men's national team. I thought it was pretty cool to see that type of monumental upset. So
Hell yeah. Great job to the American team. That's awesome to hear. You know, anytime Team USA wins anything, love it. Love to see your home country do well in sports that it typically won't dominate at. Yeah. We are 2 games into the Stanley Cup final, guys, and it looks like the Eastern Conference is dominating the West so far with victories of 3-0. Florida beat Edmonton in game 1 and 4-1. Florida beat Edmonton in game 2. Guys, let's talk about this series. What are our initial thoughts 2 games in before the series shifts back to Edmonton?
Florida definitely had that home ice advantage. You could just tell the energy inside that arena was palpable. Like, Florida was feeding off of it. Even when Edmonton got the lead first in the first period in game 2, didn't phase this team, and Carter Verhaeghe and company just they never quit. And man, what more can you say about Sergei Bobrovsky? Like, this guy is killing it in the net right now for Florida, and he, to me, is the key to them going to Edmonton and keeping this run going. I don't know. I think they could either take this in 4 or 5 games if they keep up the pace that they're on, because he is so electric and shutting down Edmonton's top, the best player in the game right now, Connor McDavid, has done nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm indifferent. I don't really think Florida dominated game 1 at all. I think they got dominated and kind of got lucky with 2 mistakes by Edmonton, and Edmonton just couldn't score. I mean, obviously their goalie was phenomenal for Florida, but the amount of shots on net that Edmonton had in game 1 compared to Florida was astronomical. I mean, it seemed like a dominant performance to me. They looked faster and they looked like the more physical hockey team. And then in game 2, the script was completely flipped. All of a sudden, Florida has way more shots than Edmonton. And like you said, Jesse, I mean, I agree. They're for the most part shutting him down. He's not scoring, but that goal that he had not the goal, but the assist that he had to the goal last night on the defensive side, I feel like he's still impacting the game. He's impacting the game defensively. For Edmonton, they need to play on their home ice. Their crowd is electric. I mean, I know Florida's really good too, but truly home ice advantage is a big deal, especially in the Stanley Cup final. And I think Edmonton needs to get home. I don't think the series is over, but I would not be surprised. I agree with your point that, they could finish this off in 4 or 5 games. I'm a big proponent of, like, let's see them win on the road first before we start calling it majorly over. But I still like Edmonton's chances. I think what they have to do is the mistakes that they were making is not elevating the puck on Florida's goalie. I can't say his last name. It's pretty crazy, but
Bobrovsky.
yeah, that guy. Yeah. They got to elevate the puck. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, do what Florida's doing to Skinner. Throw some screens in front of him, elevate that puck so he can't see it. and stop turning the puck over in your own zone. I mean, twice Rodriguez scored last night because they turned over the puck in their own zone. It's just something you can't do in the Stanley Cup final. It's unacceptable. And I think their coach is biting his words when he talked about playoff experience or Stanley Cup final experience, talking about how, the Bills, and, ask them about Super Bowl experience, because obviously Florida looks like the most experienced hockey team.
Yeah. Jesse, I wanted to hear your opinion on that one too. What?
So the pivotal part to me, and I'll get to the whole comments by Knobloch there, but Connor McDavid has that breakaway in the third period. It's 3-1. He scores there. I think the game completely changes. Edmonton probably gets another when they tie it up, and we're having a different conversation right now. But like you just talked about, Austin, he puts the puck on the ice, and Bobrovsky just has to drop his knee, and it hits his pad and shins off to the boards. The best player in the game has to know that is Bobrovsky's weakness. Get the puck elevated over his left shoulder, and you got a different game. And I just thought that was a very pivotal point. The air just completely went out of that Edmonton team at that point, because that was like their chance to get back in it, and they failed.
For the best player in the league, that was a weak shot.
Yes.
Really weak. That looked like the easiest save on the play. I could have made that save. Oh, pad save. Okay, here you go.
But back to what you guys were talking about,
Right.
because I listened to the show last week, and you guys mentioned Chris Knobloch's comments about playoff experience. I think or Super Bowl experience.
Final experience. Yeah.
And he mentioned the Buffalo Bills, but you also got to think about it too. He's not the one that should be making that type of comment. Like, he doesn't have this experience either. This team they're not going to be that team that goes to 4 straight Stanley Cup finals and loses them all, because to me, hockey changes so abruptly. He wasn't even the team's head coach to start the season, for crying out loud. This team was one of the worst teams in the league to start the year, and then they magically found it. We've talked about that on the show before, and I credit Chris Knobloch for that turnaround, but head coaches are a dime a dozen in NHL. The highest tenured one is like 10 years, I think, tops. And you've got guys in other leagues that have been doing it for 20, 30 years, in the same place. So it was a pretty empty and backhanded comment, and definitely a brutal roast of the Bills. But, whatever.
Unbothered is Jesse Larson by those comments. Yeah, just my thoughts on this series real quick. Sergei Bobrovsky, 40 saves, 41 opportunities. Like, he's been a big part of that success, especially in game 1 when they got all those shots off, to your point, Austin. Evan Rodriguez has been impressive, scored 3 times in the series already. The one name, though, guys, that I haven't heard come up much, and this is kind of true with all the playoffs, is Matthew Tkachuk. We were singing his praises a lot last year. Why haven't we heard much about him this year?
Teams have figured him out, I think, personally. And I'm not saying he's not still a great player. He's definitely an upper echelon player, at least in Florida's first line. But it's just, you get these breakaway stars that sometimes have, I don't want to call it a fluke season, but to me, last year felt like a fluke. And now he's kind of a role player for this team, because, what Carter Verhaeghe's doing, I think he's really leading the charge for this Panthers team, and it's kind of stayed that way for the entire season. And I think I've thought that Carter Verhaeghe's been one of the better players in the league for the time he's been in the NHL. So
Tkachuk got hurt too, right?
He did. He missed some time with injury and stuff, and I think every NHL player deals with injuries, because it's such a physically brutal sport. But
yeah.
Nonetheless, his role isn't diminished by any means, I don't think. I think his play last year was just such a playoff sensation, and he's also had a reputation for being a dirty player. So, getting the film and getting that knowledge, and just the way he handles the puck and the way he moves across his own zone and stuff like that, teams figured it out, and they've started laying some shots on him too. He's taking some pretty tough hits this year, so getting kind of what's coming to him, I guess, is the best way I can put it. But he's definitely still a great player, though.
All right, gentlemen, to wrap it up, we're going to switch things to the hardwood, the NBA Finals. Also 2 games in, we're in action with that as well. Also dominated by the East, the Eastern Conference team, the Boston Celtics, are up 2-0 against the Dallas Mavericks. Guys, what do we think about this series so far? What have we seen? Where is this series headed?
Well, I mean, the matter of fact is it's headed to Dallas because, the Mavericks just got absolutely toasted inside of Boston. Back-to-back games. The obvious point right now is the better team is dominating these games. The fact that Drew Holiday got traded to the Celtics in that Dame Lillard trade, nobody's talking about it, is insane to me. Like, one of the best on-ball defenders on the entire planet, and he's making Kyrie work for every single shot. Luka's obviously a little banged up, wraps on his knees, wraps on his abdomen, got absolutely torched on defense in game 2. Yeah, he had a 30-point triple-double. Okay, so what? Didn't win the basketball game. Didn't play great defense. And their biggest problem so far in the first 2 games has been defense and stopping anybody else. Tatum has played awful. And it doesn't even matter. I mean, we got Drew Holiday almost scoring 30 points. Obviously, Jaylen Brown's doing his thing. Role players play better at home. We know this. So I'm not going to sit here and say that the series is over. When they go back to Dallas, those role players will play better for them. I think Kyrie figures it out and he stops trying to talk about the crowd and going back to playing Boston and how many times he's lost in Boston and yada, yada, yada. Stop worrying about all that. Just when we thought he was like super grown up and mature and blah, 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 all of a sudden he goes right back to the mental game of letting fans get into you and get under your skin. Once he gets back to Dallas, obviously that's not the thing. Really curious to see how Dallas plays in game 3. I still think Boston's a better basketball team. I will never root for the Celtics. Go Mavericks. Mavericks in 6. Let's go.
Still taking Mavs in 6, huh?
Yep. Why not? 4 in a row. Let's get it. It's not going to happen. Celtics are probably going to win. I don't care. It's going to be the most Mickey Mouse title run we've ever seen since apparently COVID happened. So whatever. It's fine. Let them have it.
What makes it Mickey Mouse against Dallas, though?
Luka's going to be hurt. Watch, Luka's probably not even going to play game 3. It's going to be the same thing as the Indiana series when Tyrese Halliburton gets banged up and then he doesn't play games 3 and 4 and the series is over. It's going to be the same thing. Miami, no Jimmy Butler, second round. No Jared Allen, no Donovan Mitchell for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Tyrese Halliburton gets hurt in the Eastern Conference Finals. They don't play anybody. It's fine. I know. I understand. You play who's in front of you. I get it. But I'm still going to ride this card and ride this train for the rest of my life. So my brother's
die on the hill, Jordan.
Oh, for sure. I
know. But we already talked about this last week.
Oh, I know. I'll bring it up every show. I don't care. Yeah, I'll bring it up. My brother's a Boston fan. I'm gonna tell him I text him all the time. Cupcake.
The unbiased opinions of Austin Parr. We love it.
So
go Mavericks.
I do want to talk a little bit about the Boston side of things first, because the key element here has been Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday. We'll start with Porzingis in game 1. He led the charge coming off the bench, 20 points and 6 rebounds in just 21 minutes. Nobody saw that coming. I think we said he could have been an X factor, but nobody thought that he was going to be that good right away, right off the bench. Mavericks couldn't overcome the huge deficit that they got put in that first quarter. They made a couple of decent attempts at a comeback, but Celtics figured them out. Celtics figured out that offense and wouldn't let them run that offense. To your point, Austin, maybe a little bit of it was in Kyrie's head. Kyrie is averaging 14 points a game in this NBA Finals. Not good enough from a number 2, especially one that you traded so much to get and that you are expecting to be as prime of a player, maybe just slightly under Luka Doncic. Because that's what you're advertising him as, and that's what he's supposed to be. And then if he doesn't show up in the finals, what's the point?
And that's what he's been all playoffs. He's been a dominant force, and it's made everybody look and sit there and be like, look, these guys can work together. Obviously, that's why I'm really curious about games 3 and 4 inside of Dallas. I think Kyrie will figure it out. He's too good of a basketball player to not figure it out. he's got to understand that with the Boston Celtics, right, they're not going to allow you to dance and try to put people on posters and try to put them, break their ankles and things like that and dribble all over the place. You got to, when you get the basketball, make your move right away. Because if you don't make your move right away, and let's say Drew Holiday's guarding you, well, look who's going to be waiting for you right on the wing, one of the best defenders in Jaylen Brown. So you got to get the ball and you got to attack quickly. Stop dancing all over the court. Wait until 5 seconds to try to run a pick and roll. They send a double team. I expect Jason Kidd to make some big time adjustments for these Dallas Mavericks. He's done it all playoffs long. I don't think the series is over. It'll be interesting to see how Doncic plays, but I mean, his defense, I understand he's hurt, has been atrocious.
I think the reason that I'd be so upset and frustrated if I was a Mavs fan is because they should have won game 2. They held the Celtics offense to one of the lowest numbers that they've seen all season because the Celtics offense is just so dominating most nights, night in and night out, because they have so many options to go to. Dallas, you should have won it. Didn't play good enough defense, didn't play good enough offense. Your number 2 superstar isn't playing well. And to your point, Austin, I actually have this on my notes too. Role players, vastly more effective at home. I'm sure that the bright lights got to their heads. It seems to happen every time we go to an NBA Finals. The less experienced team gets rattled, at least in the first couple games. I do expect them to play better at home, and I do expect the Mavericks to win one, if not both of those games in Dallas. This thing is far from over, and 2 reasons why I will say it's not over are we don't know the status of Porzingis right now, but it doesn't look good, and Jason Tatum is not dominating either of these games. So Porzingis first. He has a rare injury. He got it right after
good
the
luck.
calf strain.
Good luck. Good luck reading this one.
So this injury is a medial. I wasn't going to read it, and then you said that. Medial retinaculum. Retinaculum. Thank you, Jesse. I should have asked the guy that works in a hospital.
Keep going. There's more.
No. That's all I wrote down. I'm not going to look up the whole name of it. So,
but anyways,
I'm trying to say it on the radio today. Sorry, I had to say that. It was so funny. Oh my god, it was hilarious. Nobody could say any of the words correctly.
Torn medial retinaculum in his left leg.
And so, from my understanding, I don't know too much about injuries, but just the little brief section I was able to look up is that it's where the tendon connects to the joint. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, people have tried to play on this before. People have gotten really, really badly hurt and put their careers in jeopardy trying to play on it. My estimate would be that he is doubtful to return, especially with the Celtics being up 2-0 in the series already. Why would you? Why would you try to waste your career? I mean, as a player, I get that you probably have a different mentality. You want to be out there. You want to be fighting for your team. But Joe Mazzulla already said that he's leaving it up to the medical staff to determine whether or not he can play. So that's one reason for concern for the Celtics and why I'm not automatically ticketing them to win the Larry O'Brien trophy. Number 2 being the Jason Tatum thing. Hasn't impressed me all playoffs long. He's been okay. He's averaging 24.9 points, 10.3 rebounds, 6.3 assists in these playoffs. Those are pretty good numbers. But this dude is supposed to be the face of the NBA. He's supposed to be a guy who's going to get a supermax contract coming up. Those aren't supermax numbers, guys.
The role players for Boston are performing, whereas the role players for Dallas are not. That is, obviously you guys know I don't know much about the NBA, but man, when it comes to basketball, yes, you can have your 1 or 2 superstars, but it's a 5-player team. So you got to have role players and even guys that come off the bench that perform. And from what I've seen, the highlights that I've watched, it's been Boston's guys coming up big when Dallas's guys do not.
Tim, really quick to that point, Tim Hardaway was early on was like one of the main guys for 6 men of the year coming off the bench for Dallas, and then he got hurt, and he has not been the same player at all. And that's one of their big time role players. So it's just, I understand everybody's a little banged up this time of year, totally get it, but it's the NBA Finals. I mean, Come on.
So I have my concerns about the Celtics, so that's why I will say Dallas is definitely not out of this thing yet. I did predict them in 7. However, if Kyrie is still in the same mental state come game 3, this thing is finished. Boys, it was a hot one today. Thank you guys for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it, and we got through it together. I just need a couple of fans in here next time.
Woo! She hot. She hot. We did it. We did it. We did it.
Austin, Jesse, thank you guys so much for everything you do and for coming on the show this week. I appreciate you guys so much. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place. For those of you out there from Montana, Wisconsin, and California, sayonara.
Holla.
Yes, I got that burping.